Good morning, boys, and welcome to this lesson on Greek gods and goddesses. Today in class, you're going to be answering comprehension. Instead of leaving you to decipher it on your own, I have put together this little PowerPoint that actually goes through all the different bits of the reading you're going to have to do today. Please listen to this as you go along. The teachers can see how much of the video you've listened to, and there are questions in between during this video that you're going to have to answer, please. At the end of the video, you can take out your comprehension questions and answer those very neatly in your books. Please remember we need a date and a heading. We want to see you writing in your best cursive. I know you're probably a little bit out of practice, and we're wanting your answers to be good, comprehensive answers. A word is not a good answer. You have to tell us why you are answering the way you're answering. Don't leave it for us to guess. In your books, we are working from this piece of paper. Looks like that. And you will see it's got the gods' names, their Roman names, as well as their characteristics. Could you tell me what the word characteristics mean? What does it refer to? Right, I hope you've answered that, and you know now that a characteristic is something that defines an individual. It's their qualities and their ways of acting and being that makes them unique or an individual. Right, so let's get straight on to this. Just some background and some history. In ancient Greek culture, they believed in many different gods and goddesses, and they believed that their most powerful 12 gods lived on top of what we call Mount Olympus. And this is where their meetings were held and their arguments were settled. Some of the Greek gods and goddesses who were very powerful didn't actually live on top of Mount Olympus. They had specific roles and were in different places. But in general, this is where the business around being a goddess or a god in ancient Greek times happened. Okay, let's have a look at our first Greek god. This is Zeus. And it says in that first line there, Zeus was the most powerful of all the gods, and he is known as the king of the gods. Could you explain to me why sometimes gods may occur in capital letters and sometimes they are in small letters? Please have a look at the question coming up now and answer that for me on your screen. Right, let's get on to it. Zeus was the most powerful of all the gods and is known as the king of the gods. He was the god of the sky and the king of Mount Olympus. He could be gentle and caring, but he did have quite a temper on him. He was married to the queen of the gods, Hera, but he was particularly fond of beautiful women. He becomes angry at the behavior of the gods and people, and his temper affected the weather, and when he was angry, he threw thunderbolts. Did you know Zeus's father was worried that his children would betray him, so he ate them? Zeus's mother tricked his father and gave him a rock to eat, so Zeus was free. His Roman name is Jupiter. All right, let's talk about another important god, Poseidon. Now, I'm sure some of you boys know a little bit about this because it's currently trendy and we've got some movies. Can you draw any comparisons between current character and Poseidon? Right, Poseidon was the god of the ocean. He was the most powerful god except for his brother Zeus. He's often distinguished in art by the trident he carries, which is a 3-pronged spear. He lived in a beautiful palace under the sea, and he caused earthquakes when he was angry. Clearly, Zeus and Poseidon both had tempers. Poseidon delayed the return of Odysseus from the Trojan War by causing his boat to be shipwrecked. Where am I getting this information, boys? There is no book that tells us this is who Poseidon is. I'm gathering this information by reading a whole lot of different texts and different stories that come from the ancient Greeks. And so we gather this information together and we can put together his characteristics. He rode a chariot pulled by seahorses, and his Roman name is Neptune. Right, let's get on to one of our female goddesses. This is Hera. Hera was the sister and wife, strange things in those days, of Zeus. She was and she was very beautiful, and she was the queen of the gods. Hera was an earth goddess and the goddess of family and marriage. She was a great lady and a diplomat. She is often jealous of her husband, but she can also be a tender and loving wife. She tried to kill Zeus's son Hercules, also known as Hercules. She was on the side of the Greeks in the Trojan War, but Zeus sided with the Trojans. She deceived and distracted her husband to help the Greeks. Her Roman name is Juno. Right, for another goddess, Athena. Athena was the daughter of Zeus. She was born directly out of his brain, and when he had a bad headache, and she was Zeus's favorite child. She's the goddess of wisdom and war, patriotism and good citizenship. Athena turned Medusa from a human into a monster, and she is known as the goddess of literature. The city of Athens is named after Athena, and she is their protector. The Parthenon is her best known and best preserved temple. Her Roman name is Minerva. Apollo. Apollo was the son of Zeus and the twin brother of Artemis. Apollo was the sun god. He was responsible for the movement of the sun across the sky, and he moved the sun with a chariot pulled by golden horses. He was also the god of poetry, archery, prophecy, medicine, and music. Did you know that Apollo had healing powers? His Roman name is also Apollo. Artemis was the daughter of Zeus and the twin sister of Apollo. She was the moon goddess, responsible for the movement of the moon across the sky at night, and she moved with the moon in a chariot pulled by stags. She is also a huntress and a protector of animals and young children. She's sometimes called Cynthia. Did you know a hunter was caught spying on Artemis when she was bathing, and as a punishment, Artemis turned him into a stag and set his own hunting dogs after him. Her Roman name is Diana. Right, let's move on. We've got Hermes. Hermes was Zeus's youngest son. He was very fast on his feet and clever. So Zeus decided to make him the messenger of the gods. Hermes always knew everything going on in the mythical world. He was also the god of science and invention. The other gods trusted Hermes. He was very clever and loyal and was a very good negotiator. Did you know many ancient Greeks believed that Hermes was responsible for the invention of the alphabet, boxing, and gymnastics? His Roman name is Mercury. Hestia. Hestia was Zeus's sister. She was the goddess of the house and of the hearth. A hearth is a fireplace in a house. Hestia was deeply honored by ancient Greek women. There aren't many myths about Hestia, but her Roman name is Vesta. Demeter. Demeter was the daughter of Cronus and sister of Zeus. She is the god of time and ages, and she has a kind of bond between the heaven and earth. She is the goddess of the harvest, law, and fertility. She controlled the growth of crops and agriculture, and if she was angry, she could stop crops from growing, and people would go hungry. She had many children, including Persephone, goddess of the springtime, and Arion, who was the fast, immortal, flying and talking horse. Demeter rode in a chariot pulled by dragons and carried a long golden sword in battle. Her Roman name is Ceres. Okay, boys, that gets us to the end of the initial worksheet that you've got. I included a couple extra gods here that you could just have a quick look through. The god Hades, because he's so well known. Hades is the brother of Zeus. The ancient Greeks were quite afraid of him. He was their scary god. Hades was the god of the dead. He ruled the underworld where people went when they died. People made sacrifices to Hades when they wanted something bad to happen. He was also the god of wealth because of the precious metals mined from the earth. He looks rather scary, doesn't he? Right, gents, so we've come to the end of that reading that you needed to do. You are now going to put this answering the questions into your books. Today you are answering just the comprehension questions, just the first page, And that is question number 1 to 11. You will see, boys, that these are most of them are worth 2 marks each. That means that we are looking for 2 good sentences. Explain why you are giving the answer you are giving. Don't assume we know anything. Answer as if we know nothing and you're giving us a strong, solid explanation, please. I look forward to seeing your answers. Remember, you are submitting this on Google Classroom, even though you are writing it in your books. Write it out, photograph it. Remember to turn it into a PDF and submit it, please, on Google Classroom. Have a good day, boys. Bye for now.